Hey there everybody, welcome back to the Planes, Trains, and Comic Books channel. My name's Matt, and today we're going to review The Hunger and the Dusk #1. But before we get into that, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing, commenting, it really helps me out and lets me know what you guys want to see more of. So, with that being said, let's get straight into it. Alright, we got the cover here for The Hunger and the Dusk #1. It is an IDW comic, and it is by Willow Wilson and Christian Wildgoose. And we start off in some place called the Vanishing Land, where we see two boys are getting apples from this tree that's on a hill above this small farming community. While they're doing this, one of the kids gets super scared because he sees orcs approaching. So they decide to run and warn everybody in the village below. And luckily for them, the orcs do not try to run after them. And as we cut to these orcs, we see that, yes, they are here to raise this town and take all the food stores. So when the kids get into their village, they start telling their parents that they saw orcs, and the parents are taking this seriously. They immediately call to arms and try to get everybody that they can to fight. Meanwhile, it seems that the orcs are just waiting by. They don't seem very scared at all about the villagers fighting back. But as they're talking, one of them notices a smell that they don't recognize, and they also smell smoke coming from the beach, which was not caused by them, but they still seem cocky and sure of themselves. But it seems that assuredness was unfounded because, out of nowhere, these three orcs get attacked, and they are all killed. Then we cut back to the village, where whoever killed the orcs shows up, and the men look terrified as they throw the head of the orc's beast at the feet of them. And we can see these really big shadows standing above the men, and that's where I'm going to stop it. I don't want to spoil anything else. So I picked this book up because I'm a big fan of fantasy, and I really liked the art on the cover. And when I flipped through it and saw that the interior art was just as good, I had to buy it. I haven't read too much stuff from Willow Wilson. I think the only thing I've read from her was the first Miss Marvel series, and I only read the first trade of that, but I thought it was pretty good for like a kid's Marvel comic. And this book felt nothing like that. This book has a lot of violence and world building in it. Obviously, it's fantasy, so you have humans, orcs, and this mysterious other race that comes in that at one time had apparently been in those lands as well. There's not a lot of info dumps, which is good. I felt like when the people were talking and they had to give exposition, it felt natural, and it wasn't just there to fill the reader in, but it also made sense in the story why the characters will be talking about this. And she definitely sets up a lot of mystery and intrigue with how these races and factions have got along in the past, and where the peace treaties were broken between them throughout their history living together. I thought the art in this was fantastic. I don't think I've ever seen anything drawn by Christian Wildgoose before, but I'm definitely going to look him up now because I loved every page of this book. It didn't matter if people were talking or fighting. It all looked great, and I think it also fit this fantasy book really well. There's very high detail, but also it's a little bit cartoony, which worked for me because the tone of this book is serious, but not incredibly serious. It feels like it's going to be a violent but fun fantasy. So overall, I thought this book was great, especially if you're a big fan of the fantasy genre. In the story, there were things that if you were familiar with the genre, they did kind of follow some tropes, but it wasn't anything that really stood out too much or made me not want to read it. I just thought, oh yeah, I know kind of where this is going to go because it seems a bit familiar from other stories I've read. But even though it was familiar, it still felt new. So I'm going to give this book a 4.5 out of 5. It really did blow me away. I had no idea what to expect, and I think this is going to be a great fantasy series, which at the moment are kind of lacking on the shelves. So if you saw anything you like, definitely go check that out at your local comic book store, and we will see you on the next one.